Today I want to talk about one of my favorite characters of Blue Lock and who I think is the biggest disappointment so far. Kunigami is one of the OG characters who have been in the manga since day one. And Kunigami is a character that I instantly liked when he got introduced to us viewers, and the reason for that is because Kunigami was different from all the other characters in the project. Blue Lock is a project that assembled all of the best youth strikers in Japan to find the greatest striker of all time, and in general all of the characters kind of have the same motivation why they joined Blue Lock. Some joined because it was their only chance to find freedom. Others joined because they want to become a professional football player, and so on. So all of the players kind of had the same motivation, just with different variations, but in general you can say that everyone joined Blue Lock with an egoistic motivation behind them, a motivation that would benefit themselves. And Kunigami was just different. Besides Naruhaya, who wasn't really a major character in the beginning and only became important for a short time on the second stage, Kunigami was the only character who joined Blue Lock with a different motivation. We've also seen this not only in the manga, but also recently in the anime where Kunigami told Isagi after the match against Team X that he joined Blue Lock because he wants to be a football superhero for other people. Someone children and adults can look up to. Of course you could say it's also a kind of egoistic ideal, but in my opinion it's still different, as his true motivation is to be someone who helps others, a human that is an inspiration to others and inspires them to not give up in life and chase their dreams. And as soon as I saw his motivation, I kinda fell in love with it, because it's something that is super simplistic on the one hand, but also very strong on the other hand. His ideal is something that I can relate with so much, but have never really thought about it. Every one of us, every football fan in the world, loves watching football because he loves the sport in general, and especially the players behind it that make it the so-called beautiful sport or beautiful football. And we all have a specific player that we look up to and a club that we love to support, and those make us fall in love with the sport besides its emotions that come with it. And man, when I read his quote, it just reminded me of my childhood days when I watched all the football games and saw players like Ronaldinho, Figo, Zidane, Beckham, Ballack, and so on as a little kid, and just wanted to be like them on the field and imitated their skills and shooting techniques. And that's also the reason why I could really relate with Kunigami's motivation, as it just reflects perfectly how much of a big influence football players can have, especially on kids, and how much joy they can give them. And this kind of attitude, the attitude to help others, to inspire them, is an attitude that goes with Kunigami through like the first half of the Blue Lock manga. We have seen several occasions where Kunigami protected his friends and stood up for them, and so on. And it was just super refreshing to have such a character in the group stage who stood out from all the other self-centered and mean and egoistic characters, which is the reason I'm sure that many Blue Lock readers loved Kunigami as a character. And when Kunigami failed during the second selection arc in the 2v2 match against Shido and Igarashi, who by the way were the perfect characters the mangaka could have chosen as opponents for Kunigami's last chance to enter the next stage, it was just such a painful moment. To see him fail against Igarashi, the #1 character everyone hated from Team Z, and Shido, who constantly mocked Kunigami for being nothing more than a wannabe superhero and accused him of having a superficial moral, was just heartbreaking. I also loved how Kunigami's elimination got built up with Isagi and the others waiting for Team Kunigami to enter the next stage, just to realize in the end that he didn't make it and being totally shocked. So Kunigami's elimination was a huge shock for everyone at first, but then we saw that there actually still is a second chance for players who got eliminated and that they can enter something the so-called wildcard. And I remember how much of a relief it was for every reader to see that Kunigami still got a second chance, and how much of a hype the wildcard created in the community, which also gave the whole Kira case a brand new perspective, by the way. So us the readers were raiding and raiding and raiding, and finally after the U20 match, Kunigami out of nowhere made his return. Kunigami entered the Neo Eagles League and joined Team Best in Munich and therefore reunited with Isagi, and I was super hyped. First of all because of his new look, his charisma, and his whole change from being the super kind and friendly guy to being much more serious and cold in overall. And at first his personality change didn't really bother me much, because Shido and what he said about him wasn't really that wrong. Kunigami needed a kind of reality check, because there was no way he would have been able to make it to the top with such a nice guy personality. So I was super excited to see how much Kunigami has improved, and especially to see how strong he was during the fitness test and how he was able to compete with all of the other world-class players from Best at Munich was just awesome. Of course, it was also super exciting to see what he had to go through during the wildcard, which we still don't know, as we only know that the wildcard was a kind of another project to clone and create a wrestle that is similar to the world's best striker Noel, and Kunigami seemed to have the perfect requirements, at least physically. The story then continued with the Neo Aegis matches, and from here on the disappointment started and got greater during the arc. Instead of having an impact in the match against Barcha, Kunigami got out-dribbled most of the times by bachira and lavinho and just didn't shine at all. His only big moment in the match was when he scored a goal with the help of isagi. Another disappointment was to see him being transferred to Kawasaki Frontale, although it's the biggest club in Japan, while most of the other big Blue Lock players got transferred to big clubs abroad. In the current match between Munich and Manshine, Kunigami once again didn't get to shine at all so far, and he's just a bystander, once again, who gets out-dribbled most of the time, and so you can say that the impact of his return has certainly vanished. I think that Kaneshiro is waiting for the PXG against Munich match, where Kunigami will have his best performance in this series, as Shido is playing for PXG, and I'm sure that Kunigami will get his revenge against him, so maybe Kaneshiro is waiting for this specific match, which could be the reason why he's holding back Kunigami so far. So yeah, what do you think of his return so far, and do you think we will get a big Kunigami moment in the future? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, stay safe and have a nice day.